Adam Thompson, Chocolate Starfish, a very busy man for 2024. You're pretty much working every weekend, Adam.
It'll feel like it, even if there are some that are off. But yeah, we do have a very big schedule. We've got the Red Hot Summer Tour starting very soon, and then a little hiatus where I'm going to go to Italy for my birthday. And then after that, we come back and it's the full 30th anniversary Best of Everything tour.
30th anniversary that is pretty much covering, by the looks of things, about 5 months: June, July, August, September, October.
Yeah, it's a big one. And we figured that, we're in a pretty fortunate position having survived 30 years, number one. But, some of the choices we've made in the last decade, covering some of the classic albums that we have really given us a wider audience space that has grown, and it's growing not only in size but also growing in its age demographic as well. So it's great to be able to do the whole 30 years of what we've achieved in those concerts.
But you've also been quite active with new music in the last 10 years, a couple of albums.
Yeah.
Beautiful Addiction
Yep.
was 2021, Spider just before that in 2017. So, there is new music to bring to a set list. How much of the new music is in the set list these days compared to the classics from 30 years ago? And then you've got sort of the best of the covers that you've also done as well.
And that's probably the reason why, it's a great question. That's probably the reason why we've decided also to be our own support act on this tour. So rather than having an acoustic soloist or duo come on before our full rock show, we decided that we would do a 40-minute scale back series to enable us to do more of the things that we never get a chance to do. And that is the older stuff and stuff from the new albums. But, like you said, the cover albums that the classic albums that we've done, there's a lot of material there that we're pretty aware a lot of people want to hear from different parts of the country and also different aspects of our career. So that, putting it into a 2.25 hour show means that we can fit in more stuff and we can really have fun, particularly in that opening acoustic set, because we can do things that perhaps wouldn't fit in a full rock show.
Well, I guess a song like Mountains is a very stripped back song anyway in recorded form. Does that go into part one of the show or part two of the show?
Well, it's a really good question. Probably both. So what we've decided to do is try not to make every show a replica of the one the night before. So, Sydney might get Mountain stripped back, or they might get the full version. They might get Mountain 2.0 like we did on this Opera House day with the didgeridoo and the Aboriginal rappers. We want to keep it fresh and keep it exciting, and you won't know until you turn up that night what the set list is going to be and which versions you're going to get of songs.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw when you did the INXS show and covered the complete album, also the Bat Out of Hell live, how powerful those shows were. You actually performed the essence of what we loved about those records. I didn't go along. It didn't feel like a covers album show.
Oh, that's really kind. Thanks, Paul. It wasn't meant to be that, and that's why we decided to do those particular albums, because we felt they were ones that we could deliver with our own integrity. So that's important, and it's also never been our thing to try and mimic, even as far back as when we decided to do You're So Vain. We wanted to always put our own spin on things, but keep the power and the integrity of what the original albums or the original artist would have produced, and not a sort of tame or watered down version. So I think we've achieved that pretty well in those shows, and the response we've got from audience is that it's not like seeing Meat Loaf, or it's not like seeing INXS, but it's got the power and the energy, like you said, of those particular albums, and great songs in each situation.
When you were doing the Bat Out of Hell live show, it, I
Mm.
guess, started out as Meatloaf Bat Out of Hell, but it then became Bat Out of Hell Jim Steinman with additional songs, Touch
Yeah,
the Lips of the Heart. It's all coming back to me now. That expanded out. But then I was thinking, you also did the Four Non Blondes song, What's Up? You did the Carly Simon, You're So Vain. Uh,
yeah.
it's very top heavy in female vocal songs that you've been
If not,
covering.
yeah, that's right. And of course, I did the Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack just before COVID as well, and that was, Freddie's not a shy and retiring vocalist to try and fill it into your shoes. So yeah, I don't know. It's I know you're probably baiting me here for an interesting thing. There's something about perhaps the feminine energy on those songs in particular, like What's Up and You're So Vain, that I feel I can inject into. And it is that balance between the feminine flamboyant but also the power rock voice that I can conjure, that I think is one of the points of difference of the band. And yeah, they're definitely female top heavy. And I wonder whether I should do a whole album of all female songs and call them "Let Me Be a Man" or something, like that.
Well, I guess, it's got a lot to do with the song structures too, because Jim Steinman wrote those two songs that both Celine Dion and Bonnie Tyler sang,
Yeah.
Totally Close to the Heart, and it's all coming
Yes.
back to me now. Linda Perry is the person who wrote What's Up for Four Non-Blondes, and also
Yeah.
Carly Simon. We're talking about very interesting songwriters as well.
That's right. They're not your standard formula, and particularly even covering those classic albums was a challenge for the same reason. Steinman's writing was very operatic, and when I say operatic, sorry, very theatrical, perhaps more is a better word. And there's lots of light and shade, and that suits our band. It suits how I sing. It suits how I like to entertain, and that's all the more magnified now when we do these theatre shows. Back in the 90s when we only did pubs, it was very hard to have that light and shade because you've got to cope with a fairly boisterous and loud pub crowd. But when you're doing a theatre show, you can have those intricate moments of pin drop, and then you can rev them up into a full rock anthem, and that's what I love doing as part of this band.
Where does the 30th anniversary kick in? What actual date are you taking that from?
So 30 years this year is the release of the debut album. Although we had You're So Vain out at the end of '93, this particular year, 24, is 30 years of the debut album, Chocolate Starfish. So we looked at this year as being an important year, I guess, in the solidifying of our band. And even though we took a break from each other, I was probably absent from the band for nearly a decade. The band sort of just sat idle for a while. That year of '94, sorry, was a real cementing year for us, and we did an incredible amount of touring that year and the year after with the second album Box. And we just felt this year it was the right time for us, because we've been doing all these festivals and all these great shows in the last decade, as I mentioned earlier, that it was just the right time for us to celebrate and look back as a retrospective of where we've been, but also, the power and passion of what we are as a band today. Because there's not many bands other than Zach, who is a late joiner for our band because of Zoran's passing. There's not many bands still who have the original lineup 30 years later. And in fact, I can't think of many or any in the pop rock realm. So we wanted to celebrate that and I guess, share that amongst the people that have been following us for a long time, and also the new ones that have just jumped on board in the last decade.
Well, good to see you again, and can't wait for these shows.
Going to be fantastic. Thanks, Paul. It's always great to speak with you.